did the coursework, but it was during the pandemic, and I don't intend to teach. I did the training for myself because I love yoga. I have hip and back problems, and it has been a game changer for me. And Sarah and I spoke, and the one thing that really we share in common is that we have found that yoga has done what it's intended to do, which is increase body awareness so that I don't hurt myself. I'm in touch with my body, and I'm limber because I practice regularly, and I can do things like, I still need props, which are important, but I can do things like this that make me feel like, ooh, but it helps keep my hips, that way, and I can go upside down and kick my leg way up, and it feels wonderful at age 67 to move like that. It's very empowering, but I do it for my health and well-being. And yoga, I couldn't do any of that. And I learned to work with the body I have and treat it respectfully and understand my limitations. So this is an example where my feet don't touch the floor. So I am using what are called yoga blocks so that I can sit back in the chair and have back support. Have my legs like this, and I want invite people, excuse me, to join Sarah and I in a little, it'll start with a body scan, is what it's called, which is part of yoga, and then a few movements, just a little bit, because we don't have a lot of time. But I invite you to close your eyes and breathe in. And breathe out. You can have make sure you're sitting tall to the best of your ability, that your seat bones are solid in the chair, that your knees and your feet, if possible, if you need to move forward, if you can't reach the floor either, you can do that like Beth is. And breathe in. Yoga is all about breath and relaxation. Breathe in. And breathe out. And nice deep breath, breathe in. And breathe out. And this time, when you breathe out, if you have anything you're carrying, if you feel difficult emotions, let's breathe them out. Breathe in. And get rid of that tension. Shake out your hands and let that tension go. I invite you to center your energy and your feelings on the top of your head and move your attention to the center of your forehead and down to your ears, around to the back of the neck. And as you become aware of those spaces, send it calm, send it love, and let go of any tension that you find. Bring your attention to your eyebrows and caress them with your thoughts gently. Bring your attention down to your eyes and soften them, and to your mouth, and I invite you to smile. And know that any time you feel tense, smiling releases endorphins and can bring you back to center within yourself. Bring your attention to your shoulders and relax them, down your back, into your abdomen. If you can, knit your ribs and your abdomen, which means use those muscles, pull them in. Feel your seat supported in the chair, and know that yoga supports you, this community supports you, and you allowing you to be able to relax fully. feel your feet on the floor. And let go any energy, let it spill off that's ill will or negative, so you can invite peace in your heart and in your mind and in your thoughts. Now I invite you with both hands to reach up and bring your hands together in what is called prayer. Bring your hands to your forehead. Bring your hands to your lips. And bring your hands to your heart. And do it again. This is a sun salutation in sitting. Arms up. Hands together. To your forehead. To your mouth. And to your heart. And feel all the love in your heart that you can hold, and remind yourself to be gentle with yourself. For we create love within. As the song says, breathe in peace and breathe out love. I have one more. I'd like people to reach out forward with their hands, palms down and palms up, palms down and palms up. And then spread your hands, your fingers wide and release. Fingers wide and release. And then bring in your fingers and your thumb one by one. Thumb, pointer, middle finger, fourth finger, and pinky. Palms down, rotate your fists, and just nice and gentle. And then we'll open up. Thumb, pointer, middle finger, fourth finger, and pinky. And then hands to your lap. And anytime you feel tension in your practice, anytime something doesn't feel right, it's good to be aware of it. And that's what yoga is, a great gift of yoga. I said that backwards, but. And I'm going to ask Sarah to share one of her favorite yoga. I don't want to call it exercises, poses. There you go.
So this is something I learned from Kathy, who I had invited to speak today. It's called a controlled articulated rotation, and it's supposed to help you stretch without moving too fast. So if I don't do it quite right, I'm sorry. But cross your arms in front of you so that they're resting on your shoulder. And let's say your right arm is on top. Okay, so now look down so that your chin is to your chest. Now rotate so your chin is to your left shoulder. Then lean your head over, bringing your ear to your shoulder gently. Now, very gently, without letting your neck flop, roll backward until your right ear comes to your right shoulder. Bring your chin to your right shoulder, and then bring your chin to center. Now, without moving your hands, we're going to go backwards. So bring your chin to your right shoulder, lean your right ear to your right shoulder. Rotate slowly all the way around until your left ear comes to your left shoulder. Then bring your chin to your left shoulder and rotate down so your chin is in the center. Now look up. And you could change your arms and do the same thing again, starting the other direction. So look down, bring your chin to your right shoulder, your right ear to your right shoulder, lean back, left ear to your left shoulder, chin to your left shoulder, and down to center, and reverse. Chin to your left shoulder, left ear to your left shoulder, rotate back and feel that nice gentle stretch. Right ear to your right shoulder, chin to your right shoulder, and rotate till your chin is down in front, and then look up at center. Thank you. So I had asked Kathy Yoka to speak today about her yoga detour practice because her teaching has had a profound positive effect on me. A while ago, my sister invited me to attend the 9:30 a.m. Thursday yoga class at the community center. I had attended an evening yoga class about 10 years ago, and I could really appreciate an exercise class that involved 10 minutes of laying on the ground and relaxing at the end. But I had stopped doing that because of schedule conflicts. I'd also been trying to figure out which class I could attend to get my best value out of my community center membership. So I also wanted to spend an hour a week with my sister, so I said yes, even though a 9:30 a.m. Thursday class is terrible for my professional effectiveness. At first, I was a little disappointed when we spent less time centering at the beginning of class and that the Shavasana at the end was brief compared to the earlier classes I've taken. But to be fair, that was not Kathy's fault. The community center only scheduled 50 minutes for a yoga class, which is not quite enough. The really great thing about Kathy's class was that she explained how to get your body to do the things she was describing. She used cue words that helped me understand which muscles I was supposed to use, and she slowly ramped up the difficulty of the exercises. I found myself getting stronger and more confident about using my body, and that felt wonderful. So since I can't predict what Kathy would have said if she were here, I thought I would share a story about one of our UU values, transformation, how I became more comfortable and confident about movement. As a kid, of course, I liked to play outside, I liked to roughhouse and explore, but I dreaded PE class, and I hated running games. I loved hide and seek, but only if I could hide and sneak back to home base without having to run. My parents even enrolled me in pre-ballet at the suggestion of the elementary school counselor because I couldn't skip at the elementary school readiness test. I had to repeat
every level of swimming lessons that I took in order to pass. That's something I only learned as an adult. I just thought swimming lessons took the whole summer. The one summer I only enrolled in one session, I failed intermediate swimming. And I pretty much stopped trying to swim after that. I was just really uncoordinated as a child. And as I grew, I had a little bit of a reluctance toward movement and exercise as a result. It's not that I hated all movement. I always enjoyed riding my bike and walking. I will also admit that I liked twirling around and leaping in my living room to music. I'm not sure why these activities seemed better, but maybe it's because they were on my own and no one had expectations about what was supposed to happen. As a young adult in college and in my first jobs, I continued to have a fraught relationship with movement. I remember we would have dances on Friday night at college, and all my friends were, just letting loose, and I always felt so awkward. Chris and I, once we got together, we would agree that we should exercise regularly to be healthy. And we would make it part of our routine for a while. I was never very enthusiastic about these efforts, and I seemed to always come up with excuses to not get up early or to find another more important activity. I would try and incorporate more walking and biking into life, but that can get challenging when it's cold and icy. So I would move because I thought I had to, but not really because I wanted to. I would say my relationship with movement began to change around 2020. I had worked from home for about a month sitting on a hard chair, and I started to have some very painful lower back issues. I enrolled in physical therapy, and I slowly developed some core strength to support my back and alleviate the pain. After months of PT, I kept up the maintenance exercises for about a year because I was scared of what would happen if I stopped. As with many positive habits, that one eventually fell away. However, I was back at physical therapy after about another year. I had been playing with my nephew at Rogers Wellness Park. They have an overhead merry-go-round. It's pretty cool. And after dangling with my nephew and spinning around, a couple days later, I couldn't reach behind my head with my right arm to wash my hair. So I visited the physical therapist again. My shoulder was working normally, finally, and I had an insight during the physical therapy process. I actually liked doing the exercises. It felt good to move, and my body generally seemed to be working better. Around this time, Chris started playing tennis at 6 a.m. He'd played in high school and occasionally played with friends since I'd known him, but this was different. He was willing to wake up at 5:30 a.m. 3 times a week for this hobby. I'm a light sleeper, and I usually have a hard time falling asleep again if I've aroused. So I slowly built up to gently jogging on the days when Chris was playing tennis, and I found to my surprise, I enjoyed it. Jogging is sufficiently hard for me that I can't really think about anything but breathing while I do it. The stiffness in my hips started to go away, and I kept it up. Eventually, I decided to try some strength training because I heard about how important that is for women in their 40s. And I'd always been scared of it, so I met with a trainer to make sure I could use the equipment properly. And again, I found the exercises themselves enjoyable. just count to 10 and focus on the movement, and there's nothing else to think about. Can we bring the level of the mic down a bit? It's around this time that I started attending Kathy's yoga classes. Kathy described every movement so precisely compared to what I'd heard before. Instead of saying, engage your core, she said something like, imagine there are 4 corners to your abdomen, your 2 hip bones, and the bottom of each side of your rib cage. Now imagine squeezing those quadrants together into an X shape. That will support and stabilize you as you lift your arm and leg from tabletop into bird dog. She explained how each part of the body had to be supported and ready for a yoga pose before trying it, and how to understand the sensations from your body as feedback. For instance, to help us understand what it means to roll up your spine 1 vertebrate at a time, such as in the cat and cow pose or the bridge pose, she had us place a pink eraser on the floor and move it up our spine as we did the bridge part by part until we could locate each vertebrae. And as I learned how to listen to my body and interpret the sensations I felt, I started to understand a little more about movement. Like with everything else, you have to be ready for it. You have to work up to the movement you want to try. Kathy's instruction in the small steps, preparing for bigger movements, and really paying attention to what my body was doing helped me see that the movement is enjoyable in its own right, as long as you are ready for it. The concentration required is part of the enjoyment. My fear of movement and resistance earlier in life were because I was so often trying to do more than I knew how to do, and I didn't know how to listen to the signals my body was sending. When I was able to take the small steps through persistent instruction, I was able to become stronger and more confident. The practice of really paying attention to what I am doing is a critical piece of the puzzle. This has been key to my understanding of what mindfulness is and what it means to be present in the moment. I invite you to consider your own practices, whether those practices involve movement, meditation, or something else. Perhaps these practices have already been transformational in your life. If not yet, maybe you will find transformation through them by staying open and receptive to what those practices have to teach you.